I don't like the word recruiter. I feel like I like to attract talent. I am more of a relationship builder.
Well, it happens every January on LinkedIn. Career change notices flood post feeds and messages, and so many of the rest of us are out trolling for a new position. So, how do you find the perfect role that aligns with your experience, your goals, and your values? I'm Dr. Joey Fawcett, and if this is your first time, welcome to the Work Positive Podcast. I interview culture experts and architects to coach you to create a positive work culture that grows people and profits. So my guest today is an experienced mortgage recruiter who goes beyond filling roles by building lasting relationships. She guides candidates confidently into the next phase of their career, whether they're seeking a loan officer position, a branch management role, or even a corporate leadership position. She primarily represents opportunities within Alcova Mortgage, a company that values culture, growth, and an amazing work-life balance. And for complete transparency, I've been an executive coach with many people in this company. So let's discover how you attract top talent on this episode of the Work Positive Podcast. Work Positive Nation, you are in for such a great treat on this episode of the Work Positive Podcast because Barbie Brown is in the house. Barbie, how are you today?
Hey, Dr. Joey. Hello, everybody.
I am so excited to have you on today. Barbie and I met through a mutual interest. We both work with Alcova Mortgage, so let's give a shout out to Alcova Mortgage, shall we?
Yes, we shall. Alcova Mortgage in the house.
That's right. Bobby Nicely and Rob Lindstrom and Billy Seipel, they're amazing guys who are the owners of that company. And the mortgage industry is, shall we say, a unique industry in so many ways. First of all, it's because you're talking to people about the largest financial investment they'll ever make in their life, or most of us will ever make. And then there's also the soft side of the whole thing is you're choosing your home. And so you want someone that you can trust to walk with you through that process, who's knowledgeable about the process. So it's a unique industry, Barbie. And you're a superhero, and every superhero has an origin story. What is it about Barbie Brown that was attracted to the mortgage industry and helping people within the mortgage industry find their best fit?
Oh my goodness. I will tell you, I love everything about it. I think my favorite part about the mortgage industry is just the people.
Mm,
It's amazing the people I've come across. And I started out right out of college, rolling into AutoCAD with, the building of subdivisions and plans, and
okay.
then moved into mortgage origination,
Hmm.
to real estate title work, to some personal injury law, and then rolled right into recruiting. So it was all the different hats that kind of put it together. And I was like, okay, this mortgage industry thing, this is a big deal. Like this is where
Hmm.
it's at.
Mm.
And I wanted to be a part of it. And a lot of it was specifically because it's just the people. And that's what drew me to it. So
I love it. Well, I suspect if you were selling franchises to hot dog stands, you would tell me it's about the people.
true. I probably eat half of that too.
Yeah, because you're definitely a people person. So you use that word recruiter, and here in the Work Positive community, we talk more about attraction factor than we do recruiting because recruiting is like selling the sizzle, and attraction factor because we develop work positive cultures is the meat, the steak, right?
hmm
You have a unique approach to, well, it's unique to your industry and unique to those who use that word recruiter. So talk to us a little bit about how you come at that.
Yeah, I will tell you, and I don't like the word recruiter. I feel like I like to attract talent. I am more of a relationship builder. So I like to get to know people. For me, it's like it's never been about the transactions. I know everybody, of course, needs to do a certain amount of productions or unit, or there's everything that goes within the package of a mortgage, right? And a career. But for me, it's getting to know them deeper. It's diving in and finding out a lot more about them. What moves them. What are their goals? I love taking the opportunity to get to know more about them. What are they interested in? about their family, and then just, how they want to see their self moving forward. And then I take all of that and then I'm able to move forward with that. And again, I don't look at it as a transaction. I look at it as at first I'm building a relationship, and then I'm taking that and then I'm helping them in turn, you know, probably place them in what seems to be one of the most amazing positions for them to be successful, to take care of their families and provide and to be happy and have a great work-life balance. And then in long term, I feel like I just become great friends with them, and we stay connected. So it's
Mhm.
awesome.
I love that. Yeah, one of the things that impressed me right off about you is when we'd be talking about an Alcova, whether it was a branch partner or an employee or something, you would always go right to their family. Yeah, Dr. Joey, they have this incredible family. He's married to so and so, and they have this many children and things like that. So it's very, very obvious that it's beyond transaction into transformation for you. So we're talking about culture fit because the mortgage industry is, shall we say, dynamic. There are
Very.
lots of people moving, and there's lots of money thrown around at high
Mhm.
producers to get them to join certain companies. And so those kinds of transactions happen every day. But you couch it differently. For you, it's transformation. You care about the way they provide for their family and have a, as you talk about it, work-life balance and things like that. How do you communicate the Alcova culture when you're talking to persons about the potential of their joining Alcova Mortgage?
As far as the Alcova culture, oh my goodness. I mean, it is absolutely mind-blowing. The ownership and the senior leadership, along with just all the Alcova employees, they do such a great job of taking our culture and just, continuing it and growing it. And for me, being able to put it out there, and explain what the Alcova culture is, it's servant leadership. It is being a part of something that's, bigger than you, wanting to give back. I mean, like you said, yes, transactions and all those things are important, but it's finding someone, and I've done this many, many times, that is right there, right on the tip of like, oh my gosh, I'm doing an incredible amount of production. But, what can I do past that? How can I put that back into my community? Or, how can I take myself to the next level and be able to help others with it? And that is the Alcova culture. It is literally, diving into your community, being that servant leader. And there has been so many of our loan originators and branch partners that have come into Alcova and have done extremely well on our model, but then turned around and just started serving others. And the fulfillment and the excitement and the passion I see them with now,
Mhm.
it's just something incredible. So,
Mm. So
mhm.
when you're talking with someone, and let's say it's one of those early conversations, and you know the Alcova culture, you just described it so very well. What if you wonder about that person and if they'll fit? I mean, it's just misaligned. It's not good or bad, right or wrong. It's just maybe they wouldn't fit. How do you know there's probably a better company for them to work with?
Absolutely. And that, again, that's the part of, being more about relationships, is just really finding out what drives them, what their long-term goals are. I've ran across many people that may not be a good fit, that may be a better fit somewhere else. And I'm going to be honest, because at the end of the day, you want someone to go to a company that they love, they'll thrive at, but that they're going to connect with. They're going to want to be at long term. And I see that, and I'm honest. And I think, a lot of recruiters, or, people that are really helping others transition and find a new place to call home, a lot of people are just out for, for them. For me, I am doing this because I want you to be in a better place, or I want you to be able to have what you need to succeed, or to help your family, or to be happy.
Mm.
And I think that's very important. So, I really dive into to that every single time I work with somebody, to make sure at the end of the day I'm doing right by them.
Yeah, and that's really beyond transaction. That's the transformation and a core alignment of values there. So let's talk about the value alignment within Alcova and these persons you're attracting. What are some of the things you listen for? Because I mean, they've got four core values that they talk about, right, all the time. So what are some ways that you ferret out the behavior of a potential, say, branch partner?
Honestly, I think it's so hard to say, like I can
Mhm.
just tell right off. And I think I've just
Ah,
been
intuitive.
recruiting alongside Alcova for, almost going on 12 years. And
Mhm.
um, I think it's the energy of someone. I think it's their
Okay.
heart, their
Mm,
passion. And I
okay.
think with Alcova, it's above transactions. It's, all the other things. It's a mindset of wanting to do more and be a part of something. And
Mm,
wanting to dial in and it's just something that I feel. And I think because
mm.
I'm such a people person that
Yeah.
that's easy for me to figure out moving forward with someone.
Yeah, it's an intuitive process for you then,
For
and
sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
and you obviously have a lot of emotional intelligence, so you're depending on that intuition and empathy and things like that to drive the conversations for you. That's excellent. So let's say that there is core value alignment. Let's say that I join Alcova Mortgage. Again, it's a dynamic industry. There are people throwing obscene amounts of money at branch
It's
partners,
true.
and I mean, they're just large amount. Hey, come join us, and we'll give you this. They don't tell you how they're going to get you to pay for it, but anyway,
Right. They do not do that.
that's right.
That's a conversation for another day.
That's right. That's right. There's always a price to pay. There is no free supper
Yeah.
because these amounts of money are so large. Um, how do you retain? How do you see to it that it is a good fit from the beginning, but then, as I write about in Stop the Revolving Door, you got about 90 days to root that person. What are some ways that you help them root and retain within Alcova Mortgage?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. For me, I love it. That's my favorite part. When I
Uh-huh.
work with somebody to bring them on to Alcova, I'm not just saying, here training, here department heads, here's somebody, and I move on. Oh no, I have built that relationship with them, that friendship, that partnership. And, for me, I'm going to make sure, hey, if, I don't know exactly the question you're asking, I'm going to go find that person for you because
Mm,
ultimately at the end of the day they call me, I'm that person, I'm the face they met in the beginning, I'm the person that they trust. So
mm,
for me it's collaborating with them, open communication, making sure they have what they need, addressing any challenges that they may have. But a big
mhm,
one for me is celebrating their wins. Love celebrating their wins and just picking up the phone and being just a genuine person because I care, and
mm.
calling and is there anything you need, what can we do better, and listen to their ideas is a huge one. And I found that people come from another company over to Alcoa and they may have an incredible idea, something that worked there so well, and I want them
Mhm.
to tell us about it. I want people to hear them and let them be seen and be heard. And then when all of that happens and it all comes together, it's incredible because I feel like retention starts from the beginning, right? And so for me, it's just definitely open communication, listening, and just really celebrating those wins, whether they're big or small.
Yeah, I love the way you put your finger on the pulse of what distinguishes this attraction and retention process from a recruiter process. If I'm recruited, I'm dated hard. It's like, okay, you're married now, go figure it out on your own, right? It's like we stopped dating once we got married, right? But what you're talking about is you said I pick up the phone and call them. I
Yeah.
listen to them. And that is so important because if I'm coming from another company as a mortgage originator, loan officer, BP, a branch partner, I have a certain story, and so what I'm doing when I'm coming to Alcoa Mortgages, I'm rewriting that story, and I have certain hopes and dreams and aspirations that I want to put into the next chapters of my story. And what I hear you saying is that you're really co-authoring that new story with that person whom you attracted.
That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And, the Alcova story is incredible. Bobby, Billy, and Rob knowing each other since they were young kids, building this incredible mortgage company. And, the thing that I am able to really push and let people know is, man, they care. You got a voice, you have a seat at the table, and that is very, very important these days. I
Mm,
never want someone to come to Alcova and just feel like a number or that they're out on an island on their own. I'm going to be there for them as well as and our incredible, training team, to our senior leadership, to the owners, they're willing, hey, here's my cell number, call me. You don't find that anymore. You
Mm,
really don't. There's so many companies that have just gotten so big and so
yeah.
corporate and so diluted, where you've got, Bobby, Bill, and Robert that are in there in the trenches. And then, for me, I'm boots on the ground. I'm like, hey, we really need to listen to this, or, maybe we need to take a look at this. And they're so open. And that makes Alcova really special.
Mm. Oh, it really does. But it makes you special also because typically, and fact check me on this, typically after the recruiting process is done, they're just hands off from that point.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, and I never want to be that person. And I think that's important. I think that is huge. I will tell you, one of the things that we take pride in at Alcova is we hardly have anything when it comes to a turnover rate. Like, people
Really.
come and they stay.
Mm.
And I think it's just all hands-on approach. It's really caring.
Mm.
It's really listening, and then just the opportunities for them. It's incredible. And I never want to be that person. I don't want to be that recruiter. I want to be that person that builds a relationship, and then we're just together long term. This is their forever home.
Mm. And that's so different from, I mean, most companies focus on quarterly earnings, right? Right? And it's all very, very short term. What is there about you, Barbie, that seeks out that long-term relationship?
For me, I just think it's really important. I just feel like a long-term relationship really helps, as far as, I guess you could say, growth. I guess you could say energy.
Mm.
I just think it's important, for me. A lot of people that I have helped transition have become some of my best friends. I mean, we've traveled together. I've been able to have the opportunity to meet their families, be invited to events, and I think that, for that reason, that's where growth comes. That's where long-term commitment comes. And that's really important to me. I never want to be that person that just, again, brings someone on and then, that's it. Because then I felt like I never really got a chance to really get to know that person or watch their successes. And for me, I could share, a couple of examples lately
Sure.
of what I've seen in some of our originators where they have been able to put themselves out in the industry, and it's unbelievable.
Really?
Yes.
Share that with us.
Yeah, yeah, I would love to. Recently, as of last week, we had I guess you could say, instead of a Christmas gathering, we had more of a January kickoff.
Yeah.
And a young man that I helped, and I think he'll be at Alcover a little over a year now. Incredible young man. He started off, I think, doing, giving out turkeys in, his community out of the back of his truck.
Wow.
And literally in a subdivision, he'll tell you, I grew up with nothing, got into the mortgage business. And now he is killing it. He is exceptional. He is dialed in. I mean, his social media, everything about him. Now, seeing him serve, he raised over $10,000, served over 615 families,
Hmm.
and he got into Alcoba. He started seeing how everybody served and how they gave back. And so
Uh-huh.
he took what he started, 9, 10 years ago, and he
Mhm.
built it up this year. And
Mm.
then most recently, he won the Passion to Serve award. And out of the whole company. And for me, I'm like, that's my person, that's my guy,
That's right.
and I feel such reward and such excitement when I see that. We've got another gentleman, that has a podcast.
Hmm.
Incredible. He is now being asked to speak on stages at these large mortgage conventions.
Wow.
And he is having, incredible mentors and coaches on his podcast. And he has just become so well known. And
Uh-huh.
he has just dove in. And then he has been able recently to be promoted to a branch partner. And these are I celebrate the small wins and I celebrate the big wins, because all this combined is just incredible for me to see. So I don't know. I
Hmm.
guess I'm just different. I really, really love my people. So,
Mm. Mm.
yeah.
And maybe that's the ultimate retention factor. The way to retain people with your company is to ensure the fit on the front end, right? The cultural
Right.
fit is what we're talking about. Sure, they're going to have skills, but anybody can hire for skills. Let's hire for culture fit, right? But then the
Mhm.
backside of it, they're nurtured, and that's a part of the retention process, whether it's through personal relationships or recognizing their ability, their unique gifts to serve. And so the passion to serve, whether it's through a podcast or just providing turkey dinners, man, that's
Right?
incredible. And I love the fact that Alcoa Mortgage celebrates both of those because those are two very divergent pieces, right?
Yes,
Podcasting and
completely
turkey dinners.
separate. Yeah.
Yeah, but man, to recognize those and to support those, that really is a testimony to the culture of the company. I absolutely love it. Let me ask you a question. What if the key to growing your work culture hides in plain sight? Take the free Work Positive Culture Assessment to discover it. Get insights in less than 4 minutes that transform your culture so you grow people and profits. You just answer 13 simple questions and discover your culture stage, strengths, and personalized next steps. Get your free aha culture moment at workpositive.today. Go to workpositive.today right now. Barbie Brown is my guest on this episode of the Work Positive podcast. You will find in the show notes her LinkedIn profile. Reach out to her there, DM her, and you'll also find her website, which is barbiebrown.com, and we'll talk more about that website in a few minutes. But they're in the show notes. The links are there. So if you're walking the dog or on the Peloton or something, or driving down the road, keep doing what it is that you're doing. You got this. You can make it, right,
Look at
Barbie?
it later.
That's right. I absolutely love it. So, what are some of the challenges? And I realize that it's unique to your industry, but some of them may be. But we can take those and generalize from that. What are some of the challenges that you see in the mortgage industry today that really emphasizes something other than culture fit and this kind of relational retention?
Of course, we both know how high pressure the mortgage industry is,
Right.
and how the market is always revolving, always shifting.
Yeah.
So, I think the challenge is definitely just to be intentional, to stay focused, to be there. Stress levels rise. A lot going on the last few years. The market has just been. It is what it is, right? So it's like, how do you divert? How do you support, and that's one thing that we do well, when it was, the market was shifting and, things were turning and rates went up. What did we do? We stepped in with more coaching, we stepped in with more products, we stepped in with more support
Mm,
and more consistency. So, I think at that time, that's when I feel like leadership really has to step up and, make sure that they're there and that they're listening. And because, I think that that's when, it all matters most. I mean, I think that, during the changes and the challenges in the mortgage industry that we've had recently, it's like, who's showing up for you? That needs to be us. We need to be listening. We need to know, your fears or, what's going on. And then that way we're able to talk through it and provide what we can just to make sure we get through those times. And I think that's when, it really means the most for ownership and leadership, as well as myself, to step
mhm.
up and be there.
Yeah, positive mindset in any kind of market, regardless. So much of what goes into buying a home is beyond the control of a loan officer or, or or a branch partner. I mean, it's like rates, Jerome Powell's topic of lots of conversations now, the president's doing lots of stuff. That's beyond the control of anybody sitting in an Alcova mortgage office anywhere. And if we think back over the last 6 years, because as this podcast is airing, it's been about 6 years since the COVID lockdown. That was a crazy time.
Crazy.
I mean, how crazy was it? I mean, talk to
Crazy.
yeah, talk to any originator or processor, anybody attached to mortgages. It was ridiculous. So
Yeah.
we've seen that, which was feast, right? Because rates were low and everybody they all went, oh my God, I'm home more than I've ever been. I gotta like my home. And so we were all looking for home offices and so
Yeah.
rates were low, home prices were reasonably low, and boom, 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 boom. You just couldn't process it all fast enough. Two, now rates have moderated and
Mhm.
home prices got way up, and so there wasn't a lot of inventory. There wasn't a lot of inventory moving. How do you, that seems like a huge challenge to me. How do you, in this relationship retention process, reach out two branch partners and loan officers whom you bring to Alcova. How do you reach out to them and what do you say, Barbie, in the midst of such a dynamic environment?
You know, and like, I know you always preach, but just making sure it's a, a positive work environment. I love, I do that whether it's a negative, I guess you could say, time in the mortgage business, or it's a
Sure.
positive, where rates are 2.25 and everybody's like, woo, it's
Yeah.
like back and forth. I check on people either way, because my intentions are real. And so for me, whether it's a hard time or it's a great time in the industry, I feel like it's all about the relationship. And a lot of my relationships of working with people to bring them to Alcova has turned into friendships.
Hmm.
And that's where you can really be honest with each other. It's when people confide in you, and whether there's a problem or there's a win to celebrate, that's the time where I feel like, let's get on the phone, let's talk through it, or let's get together face to face, let's go have a coffee, or maybe
Hmm.
it's a great time where a branch wants to grow and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm ready, let's go, what are we looking at?
Hmm.
So for me, again, I just really think it's about the relationship that I have with someone and just listening. And I feel like during challenges, culture can't stop. Positivity can't stop. We have to move forward with that, and that's when things get tough. We gotta jump in and we gotta do our best to make sure everybody's supported and that they know we hear them.
Wow, you are truly a relationship builder because what you just said was during the good times and the bad times, Barbie Brown is there and she's
Yeah.
consistently checking in on you to see how it's going. I absolutely love that. Hey, Work Positive community, if you want more Barbie Brown, like I said, go to her LinkedIn profile. Tell us what we're going to find, Barbie, when we go to barbiebrown.com.
Absolutely. So I wanted to be able to help as many people as possible. And it was getting to a point where, when I'm helping a branch, it's not just that branch partner, that branch manager, there's loan officers involved. There's, processors, loan officer assistants, underwriters reach out to me, and I was receiving resumes or phone calls or DMs through LinkedIn. And I'm like, it's time to, really, really put this out there so I can organize it, make sure that I respond to everybody, because every single submission to me is important. So when you go to my website, you're going to get a little bio about my background, what I've done in the industry, how long I've been here, and then, what I think about what I do, how I do it, how I go about it. And then there's going to be an area where they can submit their information that will come directly to me, confidential, and an opportunity for a drop down to where they can kind of let me know, hey, this is, whether I'm a processor or I have a branch or, whatnot. And
Mhm.
then I will grab that. And then, the first thing I do when I get it, a lot of times I think I'm OCD. I'm like, I got to call right now. So I do. I jump on the phone or I
Yeah,
respond very
hot
quickly to,
now.
yeah, to let them know I received it. And yeah, jump on it. And because it's many people, whether they're a great fit at Alcova, I have friends across the industry
Mm.
at all different places. And so, I'm going to say, just knowing I have other people that I know, if they aren't a great culture fit for Alcova, hey, why don't you give this person a call? And then I'll make a call for them and make an introduction. But I want to help as many people as possible. So putting together my website was something that I thought was very important, to where I wouldn't miss a single person that came through.
I love it. Now, Work Positive Community, just to show you that Barbie Brown lives what she says and that it's recognized outside of the mortgage industry. You live in Kennesaw, Georgia, and you recently
Yes.
were recognized by the city of Kennesaw as Citizen of the Year. Is that right?
Yes. Citizen of the Year.
Ah,
I was
wow.
mind blown. Hold on.
Yeah. You got a trophy and everything. I
It's been a
love
long
it.
time since I got one of these, Dr. Joey.
I know. I'd have to go back to sixth grade and find mine.
You and me both, but it truly was an honor. They got me to the Cobb Chamber meeting, and the mayor just started talking, and I looked over at my best friend and I'm like, oh, I do all those things. And then I'm like, he kept
No, you
talking, and
didn't.
I'm like, wait, that's me. I was blown away. So I am humbled and I'm honored, and I can't wait for this year. Because for
Mm,
me, that's about relationships. Again, like
yes.
winning that was about relationships. And I
Mm.
want to carry a lot of that with me through the new year so I can just continue to help more people.
Well, you do help so many people, obviously, both within and without of the mortgage industry. You are a light in a dark world.
Thank
And Barbie
you.
Brown, I just love you and appreciate having you on the show so much. So, Work Positive Community always wants me to ask for my guests. So, I got to ask you this question, Barbie Brown, before I let you go.
Oh, no, I'm ready.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
What's one thing the Work Positive Community can do starting today to create the kind of positive work culture that we've been talking about here?
You know what I'm going to share, and it's so easy to do, but I feel like a lot of times it's looked over, is just really start by listening to people. Really listen. Listen before you speak. And sometimes I have to work on that myself because I get so excited and so passionate about what I do. But really creating an honest conversation in a space where they can really tell you, what they need or be heard. And I think that's really important. I think it improves everything naturally. Like, it goes over the top because it allows you or me or whatever to really, really fully hear them and understand them. And then when you're able to do that, I mean, that's truly a genuine conversation is right where the relationship begins. So I think that that sets the tone for the workplace. I think that, it really helps you, see if that's a great fit for your culture. But I definitely think just a real, honest, true conversation and just to really listen.
So, a listening conversation is the beginning of a great relationship.
Absolutely.
Boom.
Hey,
There's the mic drop right
mic
there.
drop. I was going to say, it's so simple, but there's so many times where, that really doesn't take place. So,
Mm, mm.
yeah,
I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much, Barbie Brown, for this conversation. I'm better off for it. I know the Work Positive community is too. So thank you so very much for being incredible you and for creating the kind of culture that just makes the world a brighter place.
you made my day. Thank you. And I would love to share if anybody is definitely interested in checking out Alcova. We created an incredible new site. It's
Hmm.
joinalcova.com.
Okay.
Everything is on there about the company, the ownership, the culture. Feel free to go to it or check out barbiebrown.com and let's get together. Thank you, Dr. Joey, for having me.
And we'll put in the show notes joinalcova.com as well. How about that?
Would love that. Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I'm so grateful you joined our conversation about creating positive work cultures that grow people and profits. Connect with me directly on LinkedIn today. Just search for Dr. Joey Fawcett, or you can click the link in your show notes. When you send your connection request, mention you're a Work Positive Podcast listener because I want to give you a free digital copy of my Work Positive Team Edition book. It's a $19.95 value, but I want to share it with you free because it contains practical strategies that I personally use with clients to transform toxic work environments into thriving cultures. We explore in that book how to create a positive work culture, and we do so again in every episode of this podcast. Our LinkedIn connection allows you and me to directly talk about your specific challenges, so feel free to send me a message on LinkedIn. I personally read and respond to all those messages because I genuinely care about your work positive success. So go to LinkedIn and let's connect. Remember to mention you're a podcast listener to receive your free Work Positive Team Edition book. I look forward to seeing you on our next episode of the Work Positive Podcast.